storage solution? Does your workshop, garage, basement look like this, or like this, or like this? Then I have a solution for you. Whether you're as tall as me, 6'6.5", or just anybody can actually customize this system to their needs. Best part? Oh, actually, I'll tell you later. But first, the best system, I think personally, in my opinion, would be a French cleat system. Why, you ask? Well, you just have to watch the video and find out why. So, watch me turn this piece of plywood and this blank wall into this. Thank you for taking the time out of your day or night to watch my video. It's greatly appreciated. I do hope that you decide to subscribe, hit the likes, hit the notification bell for future videos, and I hope you stick around to watch my journey into woodworking. So if you have been following along in my journey, you know that I've just created a logo for a backdrop for these videos and just for a nice visual walking into the workshop here of wow, the wow factor. Or if you have not, you can always watch the video after this one or click on the link below in the description. I'll have a link to that particular video. There have been lasers involved. So with the logo being created and having as a backdrop, well, obviously I had to figure out a way of hanging it, right? So there's multiple ways of getting hung, find your stud and then just get some screws and nail it up there, what have you. But I figured, once I put it up there, it's kind of there the whole time and I'm stuck with it. So what's another option to use? In this video, you'll see my journey into setting up a French cleat system. So you might ask, what is it? Well, it's a hanging solution and storage for tools, whether they're power tools, lawn equipment tools, stuff like that, shelving also. It's pretty much anything you want it to be used for. Now, the reason for it, well, one reason being having a backdrop hung behind me. As you will see the finished product soon. And the other thing is, obviously, I needed to organize and have some storage solutions. Instead of having it in toolboxes, hidden, out of the way, and then you're trying to remember where everything is. And like me, I'm 6'6.5", kind of a big guy here. I wanted some floor space, so as I'm walking around, my big old feet don't keep falling over objects. So best solution is having things hung up higher up, where obviously I can reach, and having the floor as clear as possible in the shed, considering the size of the shed. I'm working with 10 by 15 here, so being organized is key to having everything where you need it and having a good flow where you're not wasting time crawling over things in my case, and just having a nice clean shop. And this system can adapt at any time that you want. You design your storage solution components, whether it's cabinets for, let's say, your sanding equipment. So you have a nice little cabinet for your sander, and then let's say a couple little slots for all the multiple grits that you'll be using on any of your projects. That's one option. You can hang it, let's say, like right here. Then on this side, you might have a little cabinet unit thing for all your clamps. Then you might have a little shelf right above you for any spare wood pieces that you need, some kind of storage rack system, whatever your needs are. So then you walk in your space. So if you change your mind a month from now, 2 months, a year, tomorrow, a minute from now, and you just don't like having your sanding tools right here behind you, let's say all your sanding needs are being done across the room, and you also have your storage system set up where you have your French cleat there too, you could just take it off from the French cleat there, move it to where you want, place it there. So then you have this open spot for, let's say you design something for all your chisels, or if it's for your garage, you have a nice little setup for all your wrenches, impact gun, everything like that. So you can change things around to your needs, to your space at any moment. Another reason, it's easy. It's pretty much just strips of wood, you cut them. So they're basically easy for any DIYer to do. It's, I say simple, it's fairly simple. There is some math involved and just accuracy. The tricky part is getting that center just right. Now, you will see, I tried that, I did the attempt, and I did it. There's a clip. So, depending on the space that you have to work with, you might have to make adjustments or basically, make decisions on the fly. So, I started to cut the plywood in the long strips because I figured I can get an 8-foot strip cut and then obviously get the bevel in there. Then I can, hang them, one nice long stretch of plywood for French cleat. But unfortunately, with the size of the shed, it's a 10 by 15. So with trying to start off of an 8-foot and where the table saw is actually located, I ran out of room. So I had about half a foot left. Basically, stop the saw, move the table in towards the other side here, just so I have a little more room to push the board out. So obviously that would be more of a pain if I had to do a few more strips. So instead of cutting them in strips, I cut those in half. So now I'm just going to work with basically 48-inch long pieces of wood, and I just basically cut them down to the 5 inches. And then from there, I will change the blade to the 45-degree angle. And then from there, resaw them again. From that point on, I should have 2 equal pieces if I did the measurements right, which I will show you how I did that. And that's one way of doing it. There's multiple ways of doing this. This was pretty much the easiest way of basically just, finding your center in the center of the thickness of your board. Get that 45-degree angle with a speed square or any other device that you guys have that can give you a 45-degree angle. And then just make sure you basically crisscross past the actual center of the two lines, basically your vertical and then your actual center of the board, and you should have a nice even cut once you line up your blade to where you want to cut, to make sure you are cutting at the center of that board on an angle. You can watch me cut some 48-inch long pieces of wood right now. You guys just see me cut all these boards, and you just see that the first board I cut was perfectly fine. I matched it up, and there are two even pieces. So I just kept going and going and going, and when I was getting them all separated and stuff, and grouped to double check, every single one was a little off, where one ended up being longer than the other. And as I kept going, they still continue to be off. So as I try to group them together, the smallest ones ended up being the smallest, and then the longer ones, there's a whole bunch of different sizes. As you can see, I kind of separated them as they varied. So I'm kind of stumped as how that, unless if one of you guys change anything, did you? No? Okay. Because based on that, my settings were right. And I just continued cutting because all my boards were 5 inches, and then I found the center. Got that first one checked, but then the rest of them were off. So I'm pretty much stumped. So to basically correct that, I'm going to find the average of all of them, get the saw blade situated in the fence, and basically trim them up a little bit. Obviously, I'm going to cut a little bit off the actual corner, gives me a chance to kind of get them all situated and down to the same size, so when I do put them up, they're going to be the same. Because yes, technically I can just put them up the way they are, but it would not have been that noticeable if I was able to do them in that 8-foot stretch of the French cleat. But since I'm doing 48 inches each, and I'm going to still go basically 8 feet across that whole wall, you're going to eventually see it, or at least in my mind I'll know it's going to be off. Might not be too visible because it's only barely a half an inch between the biggest and the smallest size, and I could probably match them up to be two sets be the same, and then go to the next one and have matched up to be the same size. But that's just the easy way out, which is not going to look nice. Obviously you want to have it nice and detailed and have it nice. So that's what I'm going to do now, is just going to trim them all up to the right size, and then get ready to hang them up. So, yeah, I can't explain on how that actually happened. You guys seen the footage, you see me measure it out and then start making the cuts for all my strips. They're basically 5 inches, and then when I remeasured to get the center, I cut that test piece, came out right, ran that first strip. You saw me show you, it was fine. So I just continued going. But once it was all said and done, the cut ended up being off and all the pieces were a little off. Well, so there can be a lesson learned from what you've seen. Mistakes do happen. It's the way you overcome them in woodworking or in life, actually, is how you deal with this problem. You find a solution. In my case, as you guys saw, I did the measurements, test cut was fine, ran the first one, it was fine. And just kept going, just keep figuring everything is right, just kept going. The next thing I realized, as I was getting it all lined up, ready to go and get them painted, I noticed they weren't matching up. And it was the whole rest of that batch. So the only ones that were right were the first two. So, I could have just trashed it and, went to the store and got a new piece and recut everything. But that's the easy way out. The best part is, you assess the situation. What can I do to make it work? So what I did, I separated the pieces to the same width, separated them, and then when I was doing the final little trim of them, measured it out just right so they're all going to be consistent and work. The bulk of them were used on this wall, 8 feet total. So each one was, the 4 foot stretches of them. And then the ones that were a little bit shorter, I used them on this side wall. So I utilized all the pieces. I still have some left over. Obviously those pieces will be incorporated in all the shelving and cabinets that I build later on. So, that's, so never give up. Just, try to fix the mistake, see what options you have of fixing it and what will work. Obviously, if it's for your garage and shop, you have more leeway of, playing around with options. Obviously, if you're doing something for a customer, then, sometimes the starting over might be the option. But if it's still salvageable, try it out. The best thing you can do is learn from your mistakes. And on that note, I will see you on the next video.